In just 13 months, the Nazis murdered 900,000 people at Treblinka. That's one person killed every 2 minutes, day and night, for over a year. Yet unlike Auschwitz, no barracks stood at Treblinka. No work camps. No selection process. This wasn't a concentration camp. It was a perfected killing factory, where 99.7% of those who entered were dead within hours. The few who survived described a place so efficient at mass murder that bodies were still warm when thrown into mass graves, creating the illusion that the earth itself was breathing. Welcome to the infamous past, where we take you inside the most lethal yet least understood death camp of the Holocaust, a place designed with one purpose: to make human beings vanish without a trace. The truth can be unsettling. Subscribe to witness history as it really was. The camp. Treblinka Extermination Camp operated for just 13 months between July 1942 and August 1943 in Nazi-occupied Poland. In that brief period, it became the deadliest place on Earth. A site where approximately 900,000 human beings, primarily Jews, were systematically murdered with industrial efficiency. What made Treblinka different from other Nazi camps was its singular purpose. Unlike Auschwitz, which combined forced labor with extermination, Treblinka existed solely to kill. The camp was designed as a human slaughterhouse, a place where trainloads of people could be transformed into ash and buried remains within hours of arrival. The journey to Treblinka began in ghettos across Poland and beyond. Jews from Warsaw, Radom, Białystok, and as far away as Greece were packed into cattle cars, often 100 to 200 people per car, with no food, water, or sanitation for journeys lasting days. Many died en route from suffocation, dehydration, or disease. Some cars arrived with only corpses. When the trains reached Treblinka station, they were divided into sections of 20 cars, as the camp's reception area could only process this many at once. The remaining cars waited at the station, their passengers still locked inside, often in scorching summer heat or freezing winter cold. Kazimierz Gałkowski, a Polish railway worker who witnessed countless transports arrive, later testified, "Each wagon usually consisted of more than 100 people, which I can remember because the number of people in each wagon was written on the wagon's doors in chalk." As the train entered the camp, prisoners encountered their first deception. The Nazis had constructed a fake railway station complete with a clock, with painted hands that never moved, ticket windows, and even a fake train schedule board. Signs directed new arrivals to transfers to Białystok and Volkowisk. This elaborate facade was designed to maintain the illusion that Treblinka was merely a transit camp. The moment the train doors opened, the systematic terror began. SS guards screamed orders, fired shots into the air, and set their dogs on those who hesitated. Yankiel Viernik, one of the few survivors, described the scene. The people were chased out of the cars with whips. The way led through a narrow passage. Those who hesitated were beaten or stabbed with bayonets. It all happened so fast that a person lost their senses. Disoriented, exhausted, and terrified, the new arrivals were forced into the reception square. Here, men were separated from women and children. All were ordered to undress completely and surrender any valuables. Those who attempted to hide anything were beaten or shot on the spot. The entire process was designed to happen with maximum speed and efficiency. From the moment of arrival to the gas chambers, most victims had less than an hour to live. The deception. What made Treblinka particularly sinister was its elaborate system of deception. Every aspect of the camp was designed to prevent panic and maintain the illusion that the arrivals were simply being processed for labor assignments elsewhere. After undressing, women had their hair shorn by Jewish prisoners forced to work as barbers. They were told this was for hygienic reasons. Before their shower, Abraham Bomba, who worked as one of these barbers, later testified, "We worked inside the gas chamber. When it was full, the door closed. Only then did I realize what was happening." The path to the gas chambers, cynically called the Road to Heaven by the SS guards, was a narrow fenced corridor about 100 meters long. The fences were woven with pine branches to block any view of what lay ahead or behind. At the end stood a brick building with a Star of David mounted on its roof, and a sign in multiple languages reading, "Bath and Inhalation Rooms." Samuel Villenberg, another survivor, recalled, "Above the entrance to the gas chamber building was a large Star of David, and the building was decorated with flowers. The Germans even hung fake shower heads in the gas chambers and painted water pipes on the walls that went nowhere." Inside, the victims were packed tightly into chambers designed to look like shower rooms. The floors sloped slightly towards sealed doors on the opposite side. Once the chambers were filled to capacity, often with 400 to 700 people in a space of just 25 square meters, the doors were sealed shut. Outside, an engine, likely taken from a captured Soviet tank, pumped carbon monoxide gas into the chambers. Death came not from the quick release of cyanide gas used at Auschwitz, but from the slower, more agonizing process of carbon monoxide poisoning. Victims closest to the gas inlets died first, while those further away suffered longer. The entire process took between 20 and 30 minutes of desperate struggle. The psychological manipulation continued even after death. New arrivals could never see the disposal of bodies from previous transports. The camp was designed so that the reception area was completely separate from the death camp area, where bodies were buried and later exhumed and burned. The machinery of death. Treblinka's killing process evolved over time, becoming increasingly efficient. When the camp first opened in July 1942 under Commandant Dr. Irmfried Eberl, it had 3 gas chambers, but these proved inadequate for the volume of victims being transported there, leading to chaos as bodies piled up faster than they could be buried. By August 1942, the situation had become so disorganized that SS leadership replaced Eberl with Franz Stangl, who had previously run the Sobibor death camp. Under Stangel's direction, 10 new, larger gas chambers were constructed, increasing the killing capacity dramatically. Erich Fuchs, an SS officer who helped install the gas chambers, testified after the war. "We unloaded the motor. It was a heavy Russian benzene engine, at least 200 horsepower, a so-called tractor motor. I connected the exhaust of the engine with a pipe and introduced it into the wall of the chamber. After death, Jewish prisoners known as the death camp work detail were forced to remove the bodies. These workers were kept separate from other Jewish workers and were themselves killed and replaced regularly. Their job was to drag corpses from the gas chambers to mass graves, searching body cavities for hidden valuables and extracting gold teeth before burial. As the number of victims grew, the initial burial process proved inadequate. By early 1943, following Heinrich Himmler's visit to the camp, the Nazis began Operation 1005, the systematic exhumation and burning of bodies to eliminate evidence of their crimes. Jewish prisoners were forced to dig up decomposing corpses and burn them on massive open-air roasts made of railway tracks. Chill Reichmann, who survived as part of this detail, described the horrific work. The cremation of the corpses was carried out in the following way. The excavator would dig a pit and expose the corpses. Then we, the workers, would drag them to the edge of the pit. There, dentists would open the mouths of the corpses with special hooks and extract any gold teeth. The efficiency of Treblinka's killing process was staggering. At its peak, the camp could process multiple transports daily, murdering up to 15,000 people in 24 hours. The entire operation required remarkably few German personnel, just 20 to 30 SS officers, assisted by about 100 Ukrainian guards trained at the Treblinka camp. The resistance. Despite the seemingly hopeless situation, resistance emerged at Treblinka. By early 1943, as the pace of transport slowed, prisoners realized that once the camp had served its purpose, they too would be eliminated. A group of about 60 prisoners, led by Dr. Julian Choronjitsky, began planning an uprising. After Choronjitsky was discovered and killed himself before interrogation, the leadership passed to former Czech army officer Zilo Bloch and others. The plan was audacious. They would acquire weapons, set the camp ablaze, and enable a mass escape. Over months, prisoners working in the sorting barracks managed to steal and hide small weapons. A prisoner who worked as a locksmith created a duplicate key to the camp armory. The date was set for August 2nd, 1943, during the afternoon when many guards would be swimming in the Bug River to escape the summer heat. Samuel Willenberg described what happened. At 3:45 p.m., we heard the long-anticipated shot at the main gate of our barracks. Strong detonations of exploding grenades followed, and in the same second, the men of my group, who were in possession of weapons, immediately took their posts. The uprising caught the SS by surprise. Prisoners set fire to fuel tanks and buildings throughout the camp. In the chaos, approximately 300 to 400 prisoners managed to break through the fences and flee into the surrounding forests. The majority were hunted down and killed in the subsequent manhunt, but about 100 escaped, and around 70 survived the war to bear witness to what they had seen. The revolt marked the beginning of the end for Treblinka. Though the gas chambers remained operational, the camp was gradually dismantled over the following months. By November 1943, the buildings had been destroyed, the ground plowed under, and a farm established on the site to conceal all evidence of the atrocities committed there. The testimony. Today, little remains of Treblinka. Unlike Auschwitz, where barracks and gas chambers still stand as testimony to Nazi crimes, Treblinka was completely destroyed by the Germans before Soviet forces arrived. In its place stands a memorial of 17,000 jagged stones, representing the Jewish communities wiped out there, surrounding a massive central monument at the site of the gas chambers. The story of Treblinka reveals the full horror of the Holocaust, not just in the number of lives destroyed, but in the cold, industrial efficiency with which it was carried out. This wasn't chaotic violence, it was methodical extermination, planned and executed with precision. The handful of survivors who lived to tell what happened at Treblinka performed perhaps the most important act of resistance, ensuring that the truth would not disappear along with the camp itself. Their testimonies stand as evidence against those who would deny or minimize the Holocaust, and as a warning about humanity's capacity for organized evil. As we reflect on Treblinka's horrors, we must ask ourselves, how did a society reach the point where such a place could exist? If you found this exploration of history's darkest chapter valuable, do subscribe and hit the notification bell icon to stay updated on more examinations of crucial historical events.